Your friends will push you further than your enemies.
This was about some gangster shit, you know, some like this girl knocks Wolf hats off in the club. She was actually pregnant by Wolf.
When they came outside, they said he got the shooting, and you know, unfortunately, he lost his life.
On November 10th, 2003, Atlanta, Georgia was still riding high off its crown as the South's new hip-hop capital. But for Anthony Wolf Jones, this night would be his last.
They were at a party, and it was a young lady that was actually pregnant by Wolf. You know, she was over there with another dude, and Wolf said something to her, and she came and knocked his hat off his head, and Wolf snatched her up.
Wolf pulled up to Club Chaos, a hotspot in Buckhead, where the streets and the stars often cross paths. The club was packed, and the head of the infamous Black Mafia family, Big Meech, was holding court with his people. But Wolf wasn't just there at the party. Word is, he was chasing something personal, a woman from his past, an ex-girlfriend that was hanging out with the guy in Big Meech's circle.
But she was with this other dude, and she 3-4 months pregnant by Wolf. So she's with this other kid, fronting with this kid, when she actually really wanted Wolf.
What happened inside the club depends on who you ask, but what's clear is this. Wolf got into it with the woman. Loudly, Big Meech stepped in to protect her.
She comes, knocks his hat off, he grabs up. So Meech says something to him, but when do you start talking to Wolf? You know, like that.
Some say Meech swung first. Others say Wolf wouldn't back down. But by the time security broke it up, Wolf was the one getting tossed out into the streets. Now, the party was still going strong inside, but outside, the air was changing. By 4 a.m., Club Chaos was shutting down. Meech and his bodyguard headed out to their SUV, thinking the night was over. But Wolf and his friend, Riz, were already out there, waiting. Both were strapped. Both were heated. Wolf hadn't calmed down since the fight in the club. If anything, he'd gotten more reckless. Word is, they weren't just planning to talk. What happened next wasn't caught on camera, but the aftermath spoke loud and clear. Words were exchanged, voices rose, and then all hell broke loose.
Wolf decides to, when they come outside, he shoots at Meech and them, which caught Meech in his buttock. If you get caught in the buttocks, you're going in the opposite direction. So you didn't want it. Meech ain't want to do nothing to him because Meech had enough people and he had enough crew outside that he could handle that stuff.
Gunshots ripped through the early morning dark. Dozens of rounds flew across the asphalt. Shells bounced off pavement. Clubgoers ducked behind cars. The chaos was instant, aggressive, and loud. Meech had taken a bullet to the back, but was still alive. Then, a man that Wolf knew began to approach him. He was someone Wolf had brought into the fold, a friend, someone he had personally introduced to Black Mafia family as muscle for hire. That night, as he approached Wolf in the parking lot, Wolf didn't draw his weapon. He didn't feel threatened. He didn't expect retaliations, because in his mind, this was someone he trusted. But that trust cost him his life.
He was in a shootout with a couple of guys from BMF, and allegedly the guy he put down with BMF is the one got close enough to kill.
Without warning and with full access to get close, the shooter turned on Wolf, point blank. No hesitation, no warning shot, just cold, efficient betrayal.
When Meech came out, it was a brief little shootout. And then the dude that Wolf put down with Meech and them, kid that was from Brooklyn, he was walking toward Wolf and them. So Wolf and them like, yo, I guess they like, that's my man and everything like that. But damn, now he working for Meech and them. And he shot Wolf and Riz.
When it stopped, 2 men were down. Wolf lay wounded, bleeding into the pavement. Riz was already gone. He was shot on the scene. When paramedics arrived, they found a scene straight out of a movie. Bodies on the ground, bullet casings everywhere, blood staining the concrete beneath the Atlanta skyline. Wolf was rushed to Grady Memorial Hospital. He didn't make it. Anthony Wolf Jones was pronounced dead that morning. He was 36. The morning after the Club Chaos shooting, Atlanta woke up to a headline straight out of a crime novel. 2 deceased, Big Meech wounded, Diddy's former bodyguard gone. The news hit hard, not just in the streets, but in boardrooms, studios, and corner stores across the country. Because Anthony Wolf Jones wasn't just another name caught in the cycle. He was a known figure, feared, respected, connected. On November 19th, 2003, the Riverside Church in Upper Manhattan filled with mourners, family, friends, Bad Boy affiliates. Sean P. Diddy Combs, who was rumored to pay for the farewell service, slipped in through a side entrance. No press, no statements, just presence. Strange, given they had been so close while Wolf had been alive, at least according to some.
Wolf was not really security. Wolf was one of the individuals that gave Bad Boy their starting money. He was getting a security check for Social Security reasons and all that.
Anthony Wolf Jones was born and raised in the Bronx, New York, a product of Eldenwald projects, the kind of neighborhood where respect came fast, or not at all. And Wolf, he earned his early. Even as a teenager, people said Wolf was different, calculated, cool under pressure. But don't get it twisted, he was built for confrontation.
As if he worked security. Yes, Wolf was a gangster. So Wolf was not really security, but he's security because who he is. He didn't have to work he didn't have no schedule to work. Wolf just would puff at the parties and at the events. You know what I mean?
He came up alongside Sean Diddy Combs, back when Bad Boy Records was more hustle than empire. As Puff built the label, Wolf was right there beside him, not in the studio, but in the shadows. Wolf wasn't just the bodyguard. He was a fixer, a protector, the kind of man who walked into a room and didn't have to speak to command attention. He was muscle.
A loud shout, and it was like, now what, Slick? Now what, Slick? Slick, now what? I looked over there. It was this guy, Wolf, that I didn't know at the time, in the middle of the party, and everybody running crazy. You know what I'm saying? It appeared to me that he may have did the shooting in the air, but I didn't know for sure.
In 1995, Wolf was allegedly involved in the hit of Jake Robles, a known affiliate of Suge Knight and Death Row Records. It happened in Atlanta. A party, an argument, a gun. Jake was shot and hit. Police suspected Wolf. He was never charged, but some say that night lit the match on the East Coast West Coast rap war.
Did they ever find out who?
Well, the guy that's supposed to kill him is supposed to be now.
Wolf?
Yeah.
Who was Puffy's right-hand man.
Yeah.
His muscle.
Yeah.
His name made national news again in 1999, Club New York. That infamous night with Puff, J-Lo, and rapper Shine. Gunfire, chaos, 3 people shot. Wolf and Diddy were arrested together. Guns found in the car. The trial was a media circus. But in 2001, Diddy walked, and so did Wolf, acquitted, loyal to the end. After that, Wolf was supposed to be done with the drama. He told his lawyer he was ready to turn the page.
When everything is good, everything is good. But Wolf was a boss. You understand? Wolf just wasn't no security type dude. Wolf had admirations to do things bigger and better.
But instead of leaving the life behind, he took it to Atlanta, the new hip-hop capital, and home to one of the most powerful street organizations in America, the Black Mafia family. Wolf linked up with Big Meech, the face of BMF. Their friendship ran deep. Both were larger than life. Both knew how to move in silence, but shine in the spotlight. Together, they partied with rappers, hosted VIP nights, and, according to law enforcement, rubbed shoulders with some of the biggest names in dope trafficking.
You know, Corey is released now. He had admirations to own a club. He was trying to get this club down in Miami with John Sally's brother, Mike Sally. I think it was 321, 123, 321, something like it was over on Lincoln Avenue. It's where Jennifer Lopez gave Puff his birthday party at. So I think they had a chance to buy it, and Wolf wanted his money.
Wolf was never officially listed as a BMF member, but make no mistake, he was in the circle. Rumor is, he had even introduced the guy that shot him to Big Meech.
The dude who got close to Wolf was the dude who that he put down with BMF. It was this dude from Brooklyn that he put down because he needed some money. He was a shooter. Yo, Meech, look out for my man. Put him on your payroll. You need somebody to do work for you, just like that. Whoop they whoop. He did that. You understand? And that's the dude who shot him in Riz.
Officially, the Club Chaos shooting was just another nightclub fight that spiraled out of control. Unofficially, the streets told a different story. The first theory was simple: pride. According to witnesses, it started over a woman.
He wasn't there. Somebody called him and told him that this girl was over there. So he came from where he was. I think he was at Magic City. He came from over there to come here to grab this girl up.
Despite being pregnant with Wolf's child, she was hanging out with someone in Meech's circle, and someone called Wolf and told him that they spotted her at the club. When he pulled up, things got heated and spiraled out of control.
I knew the young lady who they got into it with, and I wouldn't say she was, and I think Wolf was really in love with her. We all just had a trip together overseas. We were all in Marrakesh. And so, he was in his feelings about that. Was his girl.
So yeah, maybe it was about a woman, but some believe that wasn't the whole story. In the streets, trust isn't always what you can prove. It's what people believe. And when Anthony Wolf Jones was gunned down in that parking lot, one name kept coming up: Sean Diddy Combs. The theory that the man who Wolf once protected, may have wanted him gone. The bond between Wolf and Diddy was deeper than most bodyguard artist relationships. Wolf had been Diddy's enforcer for years, took charges for him, beat trials with him, loyal to the bone. But after that 1999 Club New York shooting, when Shine took the fall and Diddy walked free, some people say Wolf started drifting away. After the trial, Diddy distanced himself from the street element that helped build Bad Boy, and Wolf, he was the streets. Now, on the surface, Wolf and Diddy had history. Wolf was more than a bodyguard. He was a partner in the grind. But here's where things get sticky. Back in the early days of Bad Boy, when it was just starting out, Wolf fronted Diddy $300,000, his own money, an investment, a show of loyalty. He believed in the vision, and he put skin in the game. But as time went on, that debt stayed unpaid. Wolf wanted to do his own thing, branch out, stand on his own name. So he asked for it back. No threats, no retaliations, just business. But Diddy kept giving him the runaround, excuses, delays, promises that never came through. And Wolf, he wasn't the kind of man you could play games with.
Puff was putting a battery in Wolf back, talking about, I don't need you no more. When I get this, do this Universal deal, I'm gonna give you $300,000 and leave you the f alone. Wolf said, you could never leave me alone. You understand? He said, but them guys ain't tough like you think they are. So he putting a battery in this kid's back.
Some say that the money became the line in the sand. Wolf felt disrespected, used. Loyalty only goes so far when someone's holding your bread hostage.
He wanted to move on and he needed his money, I guess, that he put up, or, you know, Wolf said it was $300,000. You know, I heard from a couple other people it was probably a little bit more than that. But Wolf, I heard him say in the office, I had $300,000, man, when I first started messing with you, bro. I had $300,000. You understand? And I just want my money. I'm gonna stop. And then Puff said, yo, I'm gonna get your money. I'm gonna get your money. When I do this Universal, I think a Universal deal or something like that, he said, I'm gonna get your money. And he said that when I get your money, I'm gonna stop with you. And Wolf said, you gonna always with me. And they start like wrestling. Wolf started roughing him over in the office. I was laughing.
When Wolf moved down to Atlanta, he wasn't just relocating. He was building new alliances, getting close to Big Meech, linking up with BMF, making moves without Diddy.
You know what I'm saying? But they have relationships. They traveled went to Africa and hung out on boats and stuff like that.
Some folks say that didn't sit right. There's talk Diddy felt exposed, so Diddy reached out to Big Meech and talked about hiring them as his new muscle, icing Wolf out.
But Wolf don't care. He said, yo, them niggas ain't like that. I'm telling you. He ain't like that. You understand? What Pop was talking about, I don't need you no more. I don't need you no more. You understand? I'm good.
And right before Wolf was, a former Bad Boy exec filed a lawsuit that pulled everything back up. Said Diddy had ordered Wolf to kill Robles in the first place, putting that in writing in court. And weeks later, Wolf was coincidence? Maybe, but for some, the timing was too perfect. Not only that, but rumors also began to spread that Wolf wasn't just Diddy's bodyguard. He was the real father of Justin Combs, Diddy's oldest son. Justin was born in 1993, around the time when Wolf was closest to Diddy, working security, moving in the Bad Boy circle, and protecting the empire from the ground up. And the mother, Misa Hilton, a stylist and designer with ties to both men. People close to the situation noticed the timing, noted the resemblance, and most of all, they remembered how personal things started to feel between Wolf and Diddy in the years that followed.
How do your son look just like your best friend / bodyguard / man who gave you $300,000 to help Bad Boy get started?
After Wolf's death, Atlanta police moved quickly. Demetrius Big Meech Tenori and his bodyguard, Amin Bull Height, were both arrested. Within hours of checking into a hospital with gunshot wounds, Meech had taken one to the backside. Height was also hit. Both were treated, then booked for counts of homicide. It looked like an open and shut case. They had suspects, they had motive, they had bullets. But what they didn't have was witnesses, clubgoers, security, employees. Nobody wanted to talk because by 2003, BMF had a reputation. Even when police knew who was likely responsible, they couldn't prove it. Meech claimed self-defense, said Wolf and Riz ambushed him, that he was leaving the club and they were waiting, that they drew first and he shot back. And with no witnesses, no video footage, no forensic gun, prosecutors had to let the case go. The hit charges were dropped quietly, no trial, no justice.
Was his murder solved? So it's unsolved. But you heard the same rumors I heard, right? I know.
Just another case swallowed up by fear, silence, and the codes of the streets. Today, there's still no one officially held responsible for Wolf's death. Rest in peace, Anthony Wolf Jones.